Be here, I don't think, is she? Okay.
Hello, good evening. Is this on?
My wife's birthday is on April 1st, so I always have to come up with new surgery.
Not yet. Not yet. No,
Number one?
no, number one.
Thank you.
Was we lost our baby last year. So this is number one to us.
Bring him up.
So,
To the meeting now.
okay, I think we're ready. No, not yet, huh? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
And mine was a planned C-section.
Hello, good evening. I don't.
No, the gentleman who's here has to activate it. He doesn't activate it.
That's great. That is really great.
Now, all right, good evening. We're ready to start. I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you all could please silence all your phones. Good evening. This board comprises of 7 members. 4 members of the board should constitute a quorum, and an affirmative vote of 4 members should be necessary for any adoption of any motion. If only 4 members of the board are present, an applicant may request and be entitled to a continuance to the next regularly scheduled meeting of the board. If a matter is continued due to a lack of quorum, the chairperson or secretary of the board may set a special meeting to consider such matter. In the event that 4 votes are not obtained, an applicant, except in cases of a comprehensive plan amendment, may request a continuance or allow the application to proceed to City Commission without a recommendation. Pursuant to Resolution 2021-118, the City of Coral Gables has returned to traditional in-person meeting. However, the Planning and Zoning Board has established the ability for the public to provide comments virtually. For those members of the public who are appearing on Zoom and wish to testify, you must be visible to the court reporter to be sworn in. Otherwise, if you speak without being sworn in, your comments may not be valued. Lobbyist registration disclosure. Any person who acts as a lobbyist must register with the city clerk pursuant to the City of Coral Gables Code. As acting chair, I now officially call the City of Coral Gables Planning and Zoning Board meeting of February 11, 2026 to order. The time is 6:03. Jill, can you please call the roll?
Ignacio Alvarez,
Present.
Alice Bravo,
Do we have any request for absence waiver?
I have not received any emails, sir. No.
Okay.
Alex Bucello,
Here.
Nestor Menendez,
Here.
Felix Pardo,
Here.
Gonzalo Sanabria,
Here.
Robert Behar.
Here. Thank you. Notice regarding ex parte communication. Please be advised that this board is a quasi-judicial board which requires board members to disclose all ex parte communication and site visits. An ex parte communication is defined as any contact, communication, conversation, correspondence, memorandum, or any other written or verbal communication that takes place outside a public hearing between a member of the public and a member of the quasi-judicial board regarding matters to be heard by the board. If anyone made any contact with a board member regarding an issue before the board member must state on the record the existence of the ex parte communication and the party who originated the communication. Also, if a board member conducted a site visit specifically related to the case before the board member must also disclose such visit. In either case, the board member must state on the record whether the ex parte communication or site visit will affect the board member ability to impartially consider evidence to be presented regarding the matter. Board members should also state his or her decision will be based on substantial, competent, and evident testimony presented on the record today. Does any board member have such communication or site visit to disclose at this time? Anybody? Seeing none, we move on. Swearing in. Anyone who speaks at this evening must complete the roster on the podium. We ask that you print clearly so that the official record of your name and address will be correct. Now, with the exception of the attorney, all persons physically in the chambers who wish to speak on any agenda item tonight, please, this evening, please rise to be sworn in. Just one? Okay. Thank you. Zoom plan participant. I will ask any person wishing to speak on tonight's agenda item to please open your chat and send a direct message to Jill Menendez stating you would like to speak before the board and include your full name and address. Jill will call you when it's your turn to speak. I ask that you be concise for the interest of time. Same thing for the phone platform. After the Zoom platform participants, I will ask the phone participant to comment on tonight's agenda. I will also ask to be concise for the interest of time. At this time, I will ask for the approval of the minutes of December 10, 2025.
So move.
Gio, call the roll, please.
Alex Bucello,
Yes.
Nestor Menendez,
Yes.
Felix Pardo,
Yes.
Gonzalo Sanabria,
Yes.
Ignacio Alvarez,
Yes.
Robert Behar.
Yes, thank you. The procedure we will use for tonight's agenda. We will first identify the item by our city attorney. It will be followed by a presentation by the applicant or agent, presentation by staff. We will open to public comments, first in the chamber, second through platform, and lastly, the phone platform. We will close the public comments. We will have board discussion. After that, we will entertain a motion and a second. We'll have board final comments, and then we will take the vote. Before we start, because we're ready to start on the item, before we start, I already filed with the city clerk, Mr. Attorney. I have a conflict for item 1, and I believe item 2. Okay, which is for the record, will be it'll be E1, E1, E3, and E4. So what I will do is I will recuse myself. I will pass the gavel to Mr. Bucello so he could chair the meeting tonight. And I think in the transparency, that's the best possible scenario.
Mr. Chairman, do you wish to handle the items that you don't have a conflict on
Yes, sir. If we could
first?
move that forward
Yeah.
I
up to
think
the front.
It would be obviously up
support
to the
that.
board, but that would be the most,
I agree.
make the most sense.
Well, do we have a motion?
I would move that, yes, sir.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's do that. Then let's bring up item E2.
Item E2, an ordinance of the City Commission of Coral Gables, Florida, providing for a text amendment to the City of Coral Gables official zoning code by amending Appendix A site-specific zoning regulations section to amend Section A-36 craft section to modify building height standards for bungalow-type duplexes by removing the one-story limitation and providing that the maximum building height shall be consistent with the underlying zoning district, providing for repeal of provision, severability clause, codification, providing for an effective date. Did we swear in witnesses?
We did.
We did, okay.
We only had one.
Just want to make sure. Item E2, public hearing. The other Craig, I believe, is at the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Collar. If we could please have the PowerPoint presentation brought up. Thank you. All right, the first item tonight is a text amendment. It's for site development, or it's, let me go ahead and start over here real quick. It's basically, we did a detailed analysis of multiple single-story bungalow duplexes within the code, as you can see on the map here. And we just did a detailed analysis, and we found a couple inconsistencies, and the one text amendment that we are proposing tonight is for Section A-36 craft section. Could we please go to the next slide? Fortunately, I don't have the clicker here. Thank you. So if you take a look at the slide up above, you'll see these are all of the one-story duplex sections that are currently within the site-specific section of Appendix A of our zoning code. These are the sections that we took a look at. 3 of them we found actually had an inconsistency with what was developed there now. You'll see briefly, A36, the craft section, we found that there was actually a 2-story structure that was constructed in 1981 that exceeded, oh, thank you, appreciate it, that exceeded the 1-story limit. Section, or site-specific section A-79 Riviera Part 2, Coincidentally, back in 2003, an ordinance was passed, and we actually amended the code there. If I remember correctly, I think it's called Bahama Village is there now, on the corner of Loretta and Riviera. So it's multi-story condos. So those are obviously no longer relevant as well either. And then the third section that we found was A28 Coral Bay subsection D. It references one block, block 28, and 2 lots, and those are actually non-existent. So what we're doing, we're trying to clean up the code. We're just trying to clean components up, and that's what this exercise has been about. Oops. Let me go back here real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see if we can pull this up. For some reason, our PowerPoint is not working correctly. All right, well, if you take a look in the staff report, you'll see that there's a map. That's what I was trying to pull up, a map of actual section A36, the craft section. Basically what we did in our analysis is, like I stated, we had found out that there's actually 2 lots right now that have a multifamily development that's currently 2 stories and is not consistent with the current site specific of 1 story. To the north side of the street there, we've got Coral Gables District Court. We've got a bakery, we've got a cafe, which are within the MX1 and MX3 zoning districts. Over on the east side, along Ponce de Leon corridor, we have dental offices, fitness center, kitchen and bath retail stores. Over on the west side, we have San Sebastian Apartments to the west, and then to the south, we have single family. So what we're trying to do is basically just be consistent with the code. I don't know why our PowerPoint is not working. See if that'll, I don't know why this is. IT assistant. Can everybody read this or no? They probably can't. All right. So simplistically, this is what the proposed text amendment is, that what we have right here for section A-36 craft section, height of buildings. You'll see the crossed out section. We want to be consistent with the underlining zoning district, which is multifamily MF1, which is currently 25 feet if you're abutting any single family district. And if you're not abutting single family, MF1 has a maximum height of 30 feet. So the thing is, within this area, with the surrounding context of the neighborhood, given the list of, the cardinal directions, staff feels that since we found a development that was built in 1981, we're going to just try to clean this up and just be consistent with the zoning district. So I'm sorry that we've had a couple problems here with the PowerPoint tonight, but if you have any questions, staff is here to discuss.
I mean, if any board member has a question now, or want to wait for board discussion.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Craig, I see in the craft section graphic that you posted,
Yes.
I see on San Sebastian and University Drive a triangle-shaped property that is under the green color of the proposed change.
And that's the area that has that 2-story structure.
Now, I see on the south side of San Sebastian and Salcedo, the single-family residence.
That's correct.
In yellow. However, if you go eastward, parallel to the south side of San Sebastian, you see a yellow of single family. It's not consistently drawn. In other words, it's an irregular looking kind of drawing, if you ask me. I don't see a consistency of this. What was the reasoning for not including the north side of San Sebastian and Salcedo?
While
So
you do that, can
those
you
are
put up, can you
single-family.
put it up on the screen what he's
Yeah,
talking
that's what
about,
we're having
please?
a problem doing.
Sure, that
unfortunately.
makes sense, yeah.
Having a problem with the PowerPoint. For some reason, it's skipping.
Can
one
we get
page.
support to help out here?
Asking what I'm asking.
Whoops. IT, yeah, that one right there.
But why don't you point to it? You just had it.
Yeah. For some reason, it's,
Put it back.
There-
There it is.
there-
There it
Don't
is.
touch it.
Yeah,
can you guys see that?
yes.
Okay, okay,
No, I was referring to a triangle in green
right.
and then it being out of kilter in a way of the yellow going eastward on San
So that is
Sebastian.
actually, that is not a part of that specific section. So that's single-family zoning, and that's actually not within those lots and within that section of the craft section. We're specifically looking at the bungalow duplex type. These are single-family, so this is specifically lots 1 through 4 of Block 38 and lots 1 through 11 of Block 39. That's all we're looking at. And these are the only ones that actually had that one-story height limitation that were tied to them, the ones that you see
So
identified here.
those one in yellow are not duplexes.
No, those are single-family. So they're already able to go to a 2-story maximum height.
Okay.
So that's all we're trying to do is just be consistent. At the same time, the single-family can already go to 2 stories, and that's what we want to allow, is to have the,
I'm satisfied with that answer.
Go ahead, Ms.
I've got a couple questions. Can you put that back up, please? Can you put the exhibit back up, please? There you go.
there we go. Thank you.
So, just so I understand, bungalows basically were one-story cottages. That's the bungalow,
Well,
right?
we don't have a definition of bungalow in our code, and we actually,
But we have bungalows throughout the house, throughout the entire city, on Madrid, I mean, you name them, you'll see them. They're documented in your historical department.
well, if I may.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say that we had, within this analysis, meetings with Ana and Kara in historic and also the city architect, Juan Riesco, about, hey, do we have any, and I know that we have cottages that we have defined, but we've never had bungalows defined in a historic component, architectural component, or within our zoning code. So I've looked into potentially what would be a general definition, and it's anywhere between 1, 1.5, and 2 stories is what, and I think I even scribbled it down here.
Anyway, there's a perfect example in Madrid of a bungalow. And the bungalow that's there, it's one story. My question is, when you get to protections of different types of zoning, when you are abutting or next to certain zonings, you are not allowed to go high-rise.
Right, correct.
Okay. What is the protection with the property immediately to the north of us, which is now the courthouse today, as far as this change? Does it manipulate, change, alter any types of protection? Because I'm looking at the green, but I'm concerned for the people in yellow, which are the single-family homes.
Right. And that's already in the MF zoning district. It already indicates that if you're abutting a single family, you can only go to the exact same height of that single family.
45 feet.
25 for single family.
No.
Now, going to the Coral Gables
Right. But I'm-
courthouse, that's 45.
For example, on the June where you do have duplexes, right? And then you have a certain distance, I think it's
100 feet,
100 feet, and then you cannot go beyond 45.
45.
So I just want to make sure, very clear, that you're still protecting the single-family homes that are abutting from the back on that.
We are.
And the other thing is that the triangular parcel that is there, can this be developed into anything else but single family?
No, so it's multifamily one.
Multifamily,
So
okay.
That's what this whole area that's identified in green here.
Right.
That's all MF1 currently.
Right, because the triangular parcel is very truncated, based on the.
But it is already at a 2-story, so that's the maximum height they could go at. And we tried to do some research. We found out it was constructed in 1981, but that's why we want to kind of get rid of some of these inconsistencies. It's a very minor one, and that's really what this is.
And no matter what, you're keeping it at 25 feet, which is consistent with a single family.
Correct, since it's abutting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my last comment is that, for me, any type of alteration of Appendix A is always alarming to me. I understand what you're doing here, but Appendix A was put in for a very specific reason, for very specific restrictions on specific lots. So I am concerned about that, making sure that, for example, frontages that are called out in specific properties like the triangular parcel, they will tell you that the frontage to the particular structure faces this street or that street. None of that has been changed, correct?
No, none of that is. The only thing that's being, if we could go to the next, the only thing that is being altered at all is this right here, the language.
Okay.
We're crossing out 1 story, and we're just putting with a maximum building height consistent with the underlining zoning district.
And
which is
nowhere else in
MF1.
the
That's it.
city.
That's all we're doing.
Those are all my.
Thank you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up to the public comments in the chamber. Jill, do we have anybody in the chamber? David, come on up, please. You were not sworn in. Can we raise your, come on up, come on forward, please. Take a microphone and state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is David Fournier, 128 San Sebastian. The reason why I came and when I signed is because I couldn't understand the project. So I'm a little bit like you, I was a little bit lost. So I really want to understand. We are talking about 2 stories.
Yes, the way it's going to be changed is only limited to 2-story, 25 feet, the same way as a single family behind it.
Exact.
That's the limitation. You can't do any more than that.
Perfect. And the triangle?
The same thing. That whole,
Greg, it would be
Greg, come on
better
up.
for you if
Come
you're
on up,
going to
please.
testify to be at the microphone.
Forgive me. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I came, because I couldn't understand. I didn't know what you are supposed. Usually when they come, they want to put the rise and everything, and then so basically what you want to do, you want to clean up and come with a nice
Correct.
houses.
Well, no, I mean, there's existing multifamily there
Yes.
now. So, like I said earlier, we found 2 other inconsistent sections in the site specifics. One that had already been cleaned up or had an ordinance associated with it back in 2003, and another that had a block and lot that didn't even exist. So that's all we're doing is we're going through the code right now, just trying to clean up some sections. What we found is 1981, a 2-story multifamily structure was built in that triangular area. So now it kind of makes this site-specific somewhat inconsistent. So we're just trying to bring it in with the existing zoning district, that's all.
but just for your information, it's going to be limited to 2-story, 25 feet. That's it. No more,
Correct.
nothing more.
Well, just to clear that up, through the chairman, you mentioned 25 to 30 feet. What was the?
So in the MF1 zoning district, if you are not abutting
Single family.
single family, then
But in this case, you're abutting single family. You can't go any more than 25.
And one more question. You mentioned to my colleague that bungalow isn't defined in the code.
that's correct.
Should we define it?
If that is the direction.
That's
staff
for
will take it.
another.
I'm just, would it be prudent to? I mean, he's stating that there are examples of bungalows in Coral Gables.
On the
I'm not an
corner of
architect.
Milan and Madrid. There is a perfect classic example of one of the few bungalows.
And I think the board will instruct you to do that, look into it. and come back at some point with a definition.
I just say because you know, it's a term apparently that is used.
It is.
And so I think it should be defined.
Okay.
And by the way, just for clarification, and so you understand. My fault.
Yeah, you're on.
So, just for clarification, when the cottage ordinance was written to be able to promote new cottages, it was defined, et cetera, they did research, and then they wrote it and crafted it around that. And then the cottage is probably another example, very, very different type of animal, but I would leave it up to historic to be able to do it. And cottages, by the way, are everywhere in California, here, everywhere. They have very specific characteristics, and they do exist. So,
if that's the direction of the board, we can work with the city architect and, you know, the historic division to come up with a definition.
Again, I only bring it up is because it's a term that's used.
Yeah, but I think it's a good idea. It would be good to have something. So with no time limit for you to do it, but look into it and come back to us.
Agreed.
Okay?
Thank you.
Do we have to propose something to tell them to do it?
no.
I think this is, you know what the intent of the board, the wish of the board, so you could do it at some
Yeah,
point.
we can bring it
Okay.
back. Yep, definitely.
Thank you. Jill, anybody else in chamber? Anybody in Zoom? Anybody on phone? No. So then we're going to close the public comments, and we're going to bring it back to the board. Mr. Sanabria, you want to start board discussions? Any?
I have no comments right now.
Okay. Alex?
I think this clarifies the code. I'm in favor of staff recommendation.
Ignacio?
No comment.
Mr. Pardo?
Right. The only thing is, I hope it doesn't just turn out into another row townhouse type of effect from one side of the street to the other. Sometimes they're kind of monotonous.
Mr. Menendez?
No comments. Clarification is good.
Okay. Do we have a motion? I have no comments. I'm perfectly fine with it. Do we have a motion?
I'll second.
Jill? And a second, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah, I paused, but I'll move.
Nestor Menendez,
Yes.
Felix Pardo,
Yes.
Gonzalo Sanabria,
Yes.
Ignacio Alvarez. Yes. Robert Behar.
Yes. Before we go to the next item, Alice Bravo is trying to send you an email. She's not able to send it to, she sent it to me. She's stuck on a plane coming back from Tallahassee, and she's requesting an accent waiver.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for,
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, seeing none, motion approved. Mr. Collier, can you please read item E5 now, please?
Item E5, an ordinance of the City Commission of Coral Gables, Florida, providing for text amendment to the City of Coral Gables official zoning code by amending Article 5 Architecture, Section 5-500, roofs to clarify roof design standards, including the intent to incorporate a combination of pitched and flat roof forms, and to establish that roof designs proposed as entirely flat require review and approval by the full Board of Architects, to remove sections 503 and 504 and renumber subsequent sections, to delete outdated parapet height provisions in flood hazard districts, and providing for repealer provision, severability clause, codification, providing for an effective date. Item E5, public hearing.
All right, this is another text amendment, Planning and Zoning Board members, where we worked extensively with the city architect and the Board of Architects on these. I'll just go ahead and read briefly a little bit of the background information pursuant to the staff report. So as Mr. Collier had indicated, this proposed ordinance updates the city's roof design regulations to improve clarity, remove outdated provisions, and better align this zoning code with contemporary architectural practices and the city's current architectural review process. Historically, Coral Gables building and zoning regulations have required roof forms and materials consistent with Mediterranean and similarly harmonious architectural styles, including pitch tile roofs and limited material options. Although flat roofs were gradually permitted over time and modern architectural styles were allowed following the 2007 zoning code rewrite, certain roof design requirements were not comprehensively updated to reflect that policy shift. As a result, portions of the current roof regulations are outdated when applied to contemporary and modern architectural styles. The proposed text amendments address these issues by clarifying that high-quality roof materials not expressly listed in the code may be approved by the city architect and, where applicable, the full board of architects, based on architectural style, neighborhood context, and sound structural principles, and by clarifying parapet standards for flat roofs, including the requirement that roof designs proposed as entirely flat be subject to review and approval by the full board of architects. Roof designs remain an essential component of overall building design and visual compatibility with surrounding development. These proposed text amendments maintain the city's architectural standards while providing clearer, more consistent guidance for property owners, design professionals, and all the reviewing bodies. As previously stated, we took this ordinance with corrections from staff, and it was reviewed and approved on Thursday, January 29th by the Board of Architects. If you have any questions, we have all of the subsections with strike through and underline that have been changed and omitted. If you have any particular questions, I'm here to answer those.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead now. I'm gonna open up to the public comment. Anybody, Jill, from in the chamber? Anybody in Zoom?
No,
Phone?
no.
I'm gonna close the public comments. I'm gonna open up to board discussions. Mr. Pardo, I'm gonna start with you on that end.
Well, I have certain concerns. I don't understand what the limitations, if any, exist. For example, single-family homes. Now you can have 100% flat roofs.
Well, that's not correct. I mean, they would have to put the
I'm
proposal.
I'm asking, I'm not
Yeah,
asserting.
they would have to put a proposal in front of the Board of Architects.
Right.
And the Board of Architects would have to approve that, the
Yeah.
full board.
I have seen in other municipalities, I have seen where there was the theme for the particular municipality, and then all of a sudden, these particular type of incompatible styles started to crop up. It's really a stark, it's a stark contrast. And again, I say compatibility because the use is not the issue. It's the variation. You can have variations. You're not copying where it's a cookie cutter type of thing. I think this is going to continue to degrade the city's architecture. I see it where in other buildings, such as commercial buildings, where Mediterranean bonuses are awarded to things that are obviously not Mediterranean in style, look, or feel. So I am very concerned. I think that this is a huge mistake. People are going to be looking at this in such a way that what were they thinking kind of question. So I'm particularly concerned. I think it's a very bad idea. I don't care if it's unanimous, depending on who you have on the board, and it's just not right. So I have a real problem with this particular way. There are no limitations, there are no restrictions. It's basically, a full board approval, and that's it.
There are some restrictions, but this was.
Such as, for example, you don't have a provision of context of the blocks in there. That is crucial in just about every city. Miami Beach has it, you name them, many places have them. the contextual type of differences of design have to do with it. It's not even mentioned in this proposed resolution.
But I just want to add that in section 5-502, we do actually call out multiple lots and blocks. Riviera section, the French Village, multiple other, where flat roofs without a parapet. I mean, there's multiple components. If you take a look at the staff report and go through section 5-502. Now, granted, I'm in planning and zoning. This has been inspired by the city architect and the Board of Architects. That's why we're bringing it in front of you, because it is inside of our planning and zoning code. But they do actually have quite a few things that aren't being touched, that talk about different components in here. They call out certain lots and blocks. But there is quite a few of
But
existing regulations already there.
I think maybe I'm not explaining myself correctly. Contextual type of presentation to the board means several homes to the left, several homes to the right, across the street, so you understand from scale and detail standpoint. It's not a cookie cutter approach, but many times what I have seen with some of these flat designs, the incompatibility, it just sticks out like an eyesore. It looks more like a sculpture than a particular home. I have a real problem because I don't think it's been addressed properly as far as the contextual type of comparisons that should be written into the code. And right now, it's just too willy-nilly. With all due respect to the city architect, I disagree, and I disagree vehemently.
Felix, but, I mean, I don't do single family, so I have never come across.
Neither do I.
But I've seen at the board where you have to demonstrate contextually you are compatible, okay? I mean, you're right, depending who's the board.
Exactly, and Robert, the biggest problem I see is that it gets back to the restrictions of the board. I see where the board gets into, let's say, a particular detail, but they're not looking at the entire vernacular that is being used. And unfortunately, most of what you're talking about here tonight, staff is that the vernacular is being stripped of a lot of the vocabulary that could be used in a positive way.
Well, that's there today. Am I not correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
You, unfortunately, in 2007, that was modified, where today you're allowed to do it.
Right. Well, the way that it's being done now is you're freeing that even more. And I have a real problem with it. You won't have my support the way it's presented. Now, if staff would go back and research and do something different where it becomes more
Limited.
No, not I don't think that's the right word.
What criteria?
That the criteria for the presentation for the compatibility within the neighborhood. And the neighborhoods can change from one to the other. But sometimes, you just can't think that you're in a vacuum. You have to be looking at, I mean, I would I would be very upset if someone put something that just didn't go along with the rest of my neighborhood, because when I bought there, I was buying into the neighborhood. Now, if you're saying, well, this neighborhood is more modern, it has flat roofs, it has this, and I could understand that. In fact, the one that we just changed the height onto the second story, I could see it working there. Why? Because it's directly across the street from commercial. It's directly across the street from flat areas. Do you understand what I'm saying now?
I get it.
I think that is a perfect example, and it's right in our face. I would like staff to go back basically to the drawing board and come up with something that reflects that as an example where people know what they're getting. Because it's easy to go in and tear down, and then you've just changed that. And it's very sad in the places that I've seen where they all look like an eyesore. Okay. And I'm not saying that is bad architecture. I'm just saying it just doesn't fit.
Before we take that, let's get other board members to, Mr. Alvarez?
So if I'm understanding this correctly, there's no criteria, so I could go in front of a board of architects.
That-
They say make changes A and B. There's an election, there's a new board, and then they can tell me, no, I'm throwing this out, we go a different direction. There's no criteria, it's not gonna be dependent on the board.
So
then.
we have a section 5 architecture within the zoning code. It's filled with all different kinds of forms of criteria. You want to get specific about flat roofs, if that's the area that we want to talk about specifically, it's all in front of you inside of the staff report and within the ordinance there. It's section 5-502 flat roofs. And like I said, I mean, it's in the planning and zoning code. We have to bring it in front of you, but this was a recommendation from not only the city architect, but the entirety of the Board of Architects. So if there's recommendations or whatever, we can definitely take it back to that board, and if you have specific recommendations.
I think my concerns were very specific. You haven't addressed them yet, but I would like staff to be able to address them with the Board of Architects and the city architect. Because again, it depends on where you are. There are certain areas that are very different. And it's very concerning that we're changing many things where these are existing neighborhoods. This is not a brand-new development here. These are existing neighborhoods with existing homes. And unfortunately, some people, you know, it would be great if you're living on certain parts of Miami Beach and you're using flat and you have Art Deco and you have this and that. I could see that all day. I'm just saying that protecting the neighborhoods and the contextual relationship is important.
And Felix, you're right. I mean, to your point, some street like Columbus,
100%.
you know, I could see it there. But Ignacio, any other comments? Nestor?
I have comment. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I'm gonna come to you. Go ahead, Nestor.
So, what's the city's stance right now on flat roofs? I mean, what are we really addressing here aside? Are we trying to define, further define?
Further define and give more authority and power to not only the city architect, but also the Board of Architects, where if it is proposed to be a flat roof, they know that there is no administrative approvals whatsoever. Any proposed flat roof would have to go in front of the Board of Architects.
Is that how it is now?
No. Right now, if I remember correctly, I think it's, if you have like a 6 or 8 inch slope, that could be considered non-flat. Now, granted, there's other components in here, but we are actually trying to give more authority to the Board of Architects when they make these decisions.
So just to echo Felix's concern, I kind of wholeheartedly support that. Like, it's a slippery slope. I think I think that we, you know, when looking at somebody's applying to have a flat roof, you should look at the neighborhood, and we don't want to destroy the neighborhood, even though you're technically allowed to do it if the Board of Architects and the city architects give you a thumbs up. So that is concern. Is there any way to add guardrails? And I'm not an architect, and I've never served on the Board of Architects. I think 2 of my colleagues have. Is there any type of guardrails that could be added to maybe assuage some of Mr. Pardo's concerns and mine as well? Because again, I do get it that there's you know, there's a certain look and feel to a neighborhood, and then somebody comes in, they buy the property, and they put a flat roof, and maybe not now, but 20, 30 years, you have a row of flat roofs because everybody just came in and bought houses and changed them. I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but I do share the same concerns and sentiment as Mr. Porter.
I do agree with Mr. Pardo. I do think there should be some sort of criteria. My question is, if this were to pass, and they present to the board, does the board itself look at the neighboring properties? Is that something that they do?
Yes, of course. Yeah. They look at every case by case proposal.
Senator?
Thank you. I find something funny here. Thick but variegated.
Where are you at? I'm sorry.
I see that under ED, but anyway, it's just a funny phrase. Someday you'll translate for me. But in the meantime, Craig, what about metal roof?
What about what? I'm sorry.
What about metal roofs?
Metal roof, so.
Yeah, metal
We
roofs.
take a-
How are we treating metal roofs? Yeah, I see some allusions to copper materials, but what about metal roofs per se? I mean, I don't understand where is
If you
it.
go to section
I
5
read it. I'm trying to
pitched roofs
understand
and
it.
materials, you'll see we have standing seam metal may be used. This is what would be proposed as the re-lettered number K. It's already existing, but all of that.
Well, I'm
Guys,
trying to
not
ask a question.
I don't do architectural reviews for
I
single-family
hear
houses.
you, but I'm trying to ask you a question. What about metal roofs? Are they approved under this ordinance? Are metal roofs approved under this ordinance? Yes or
Like
no?
I said, there's already existing within the code now, some components for standing seam
Some
metal.
components. Which components?
Like I said, it's section 5-503, pitched roof materials. If you look at this, you'll see a variety of different pitched roof material types, A through L. And if you go through subsection K, standing seam metal may be used on single-family homes. This is already existing. Metal roofs are prohibited within historic districts and shall require the additional approval from the Historic Preservation Board. I mean, metal roofs shall not imitate other materials and may not be painted. There's some information already here when it's a pitched roof. So,
My comment is this: unless there's an extreme urgency to approve this item today, for some unforeseen reason that I don't grasp at this time, I think we should defer it and have it come back to the board.
I will, my comments are the same as you heard, and I think maybe it's prudent that we defer this and come back with a little bit. On the metal roof, it's very specific. I don't think that gets affected because you cannot put a metal roof on a flat surface. So that's already pretty much, but I think you heard enough from us that I think that if any board member wants to make a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to defer
Please.
the item today and direct staff to please go back and express the very specific comments by the board.
I'll second.
can staff just ask clarification
Sure.
real quick?
Sure.
District analysis and contextual neighborhood context, and then additional criteria is pretty much what I'm hearing predominantly.
I would say pretty
Correct?
much that's it. And developing a mechanism, contextual drawings that provide maybe the entire blocks on both sides, not just on the side of the property, but also across the street. And the other thing is that in the flat roof component, this is all encompassing, including commercial buildings, correct? High rise.
well, I don't think commercial, this is for single family. Yeah.
Only single.
Only,
family.
this is only for single family.
Okay.
Now, question for city attorney, do we have to put a time certain? Do we need to, since we're gonna, defer it?
Well, I think this is a general ordinance, so I don't think we did mail notice for this, did we? No. Okay, so
Okay.
I don't think we need a time certain because the city's gonna renotice
So
it
whenever,
anyway.
whenever you're ready, you could bring it back to us. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jill, can you please call the roll?
Sure. Felix Pardo,
Yes.
Gonzalo Sanabria,
Yes.
Ignacio Alvarez,
Yes.
Robert Behar,
Yes.
Alex Bucello,
Yes.
Nestor Menendez.
Yes.
Thank you. Now,
Mr. Chairman, there was one issue before you leave. Getting back to the Alice Bravo and the board voting on it, there's been changes to attendance, and I don't recall, I have this in my head, that the board doesn't have the authority to waive her attendance, although she has a very justified reason. She's stuck on a plane. I've tried to reach Christina to see what the position is. So I know the sentiment of the board has been expressed. I need to get back to Christina on how the process works for things of that nature. So I just want to advise the board that I'm looking into that.
No problem. Thank you. Okay. At this time, again, I will recuse myself. Mr. Pacello, please.
Thank you. Mr. Caller, I guess if we can have the next item.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, are we on? We're
E1?
on
E1.
E1.
E1, right? Okay,
E1.
hang on for just a sec. Okay. Item E1, an ordinance to the City Commissioner of Coral Gables, Florida, approving the vacation of a public alleyway pursuant to zoning code, Article 14, process section 14-211, abandonment and vacation, and City Code, Chapter 62, Article 8, vacation, abandonment, and closure of streets, easements, and alleys by private owners in the city, application process providing for the vacation of the 45-foot wide alley, which is approximately 125 feet in length, lying between Tract A and lots 27 through 31, Book 156, Riviera Section, Part 8, 1250 South Dixie Highway, Coral Gables, Florida, providing for repeal of provision, severability clause, and providing for an effective date. Item E1, public hearing.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Laura Russo with offices at 2334 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. I am here this evening representing LCD Acquisitions, Inc., the contract purchaser of the property that most of you will recognize as the University Shopping Center, where Fridays used to be located, in the Bagel Emporium. That property is bounded by US 1 on sort of the northwest side, by Mariposa Court, and on the south side by Madruga. Madruga being a very narrow street that for many, many years, most people were convinced that Madruga was actually an alley behind the building, but it's actually a platted street. We are here this evening requesting to vacate the alley that is 75 feet wide by 45 feet wide by 125 feet deep. And that it actually starts right at one of the entrances, access points into the property, and goes into the property about 125 feet. This mess all got created back in 1950. The original Riviera Section 8 plat was replatted to vacate the alley that bifurcated this block, as it did in other blocks that abutted US 1, the common scenario of an alley bifurcating. And they replatted in 1950, and they vacated what they thought was, I guess, the whole alley, but there was a portion, the upper northwest corner of the property was not included in that replat. And so the alley is located just south of that portion that was not part of the replat. And so we are here. The shopping center was built in the early 1950s. The alley has not been used by the city for any public purpose. It actually is part of the accessway and part of a landscaping median inside the shopping center surface parking lot. This property will be developed under the new city's rapid transit overlay ordinance that was created in order to combat the rapid transit zone of Miami-Dade County. So we are here this evening requesting that this alley be vacated. We meet all the requirements of Article 14 in terms of process, and I think if you've taken a look at Ms. Garcia's staff report, you will see that it's quite comprehensive, and we meet all the public policy concerns in the comprehensive plan and all the requirements of the zoning code. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I guess we'll hear from the city staff.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. So we all know where the property is at Mariposa and Madruga and US 1. The alley actually sits, like was stated before, on some parking spaces and a drive aisle. As you remember, this board deferred the previous application, which consisted of many more requests. Today, we're looking at just one of those requests, which is the vacation of this alleyway. As you can see here, the alley is just 45 feet in depth and 125 feet wide. And you can see it overlaying a survey, so you can see it mostly is parking as well as part of a drive aisle. This was reviewed many years ago, and in the DRC back in 2023. This board deferred this request with many other requests in April of 2024, and here we are again with just the request of the alley vacation. There's been 4 notices sent to the property owners. Property was posted, website was posted, so your advertisement was also published. This is a map that shows the 1,000 feet radius from the property. And staff has reviewed this. I have Works here as well to talk and answer any questions specifically about the alley. We do recommend approval with conditions, 2 conditions basically. One, linking this approval to the site plan as approved by the commission at a future date. The second condition would be that they would have to start construction of the city permitted project within 2 years of the site plan approval. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment here in the chamber, Jill?
Not for this item, sir.
Any on Zoom?
No.
And any on the phone?
No.
All right, let's close public comment. Let's open up to board discussion. Pardo, if I will start with you.
One question, has the alley, the area of the alley ever paid taxes by the present owner of the?
Yes, it's included in their legal description, and they pay taxes on the
Really?
parcel, yes.
Okay. That was it.
No comments.
Lester? Gonzalo?
Nice to see you, Ms. Russo. And as the applicant's attorney, you feel comfortable with this agreement?
Excuse me, do I feel comfortable with
The agreement that we're doing?
the 2 conditions? Yes, we've agreed to the conditions.
Good. Well, it's nice to have you agree and nice to have you in the fold of the Coral Gables versus the county. So welcome home, Ms. Russo. Thank you very much for
Well,
your.
I had nothing to do with the counting project.
I
only
know,
work in the city,
that.
as you know.
I know that. But anyway, I still welcome you and embrace you here in the Gables where you belong.
Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Russo.
Through the chairman, I have just one
Yes.
question. Ms. Russo, what happens if your client doesn't comply with one of the 2? I mean, it reverts. I think it reverts.
It does, yeah.
Well,
if
the
they build a-
application, the vacation becomes null and void. And that is if construction is not started within 2 years from the date this is approved. So this still goes to the commission for 2 readings. So the approval then takes place like 30 days after that. But in the meantime, the applicant is working with city staff, and the site plan is being reviewed by city staff and will go before the city commission. So
Thank you.
I am very hopeful that
I'm
that
sure
will
your client is
come
too.
up.
I have no comment, so let's close board discussion. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve staff
Yeah.
recommendation.
Did we indicate, was there anybody in the room that's,
Yes.
we did?
There was no
Yes,
one.
There was no,
Thank you.
I'll second.
Show call vote, please.
Gonzalo Sanabria,
Yes.
Ignacio Alvarez,
Yes.
Nestor Menendez,
Yes.
Felix Pardo, Alex Bucello.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Caller, can we have the
So,
last
Mr.
item, I think?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that item E3 and E4 are related.
Got it.
Is that, I just want to confirm that with, so I'm going to read them both in, but I want everybody to relax because it's going to take me some time to read these. So bear with me. Item E3, an ordinance of the City Commission of Coral Gables, Florida, approving amendments to the text and maps of the City of Coral Gables comprehensive plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures, Section 163.3187 Florida statutes and zoning code, Article 14, process, Section 14-213 comprehensive plan, text and map amendments to 1. Modify the required multifamily densities and height to allow higher intensities within the University Station Rapid Transit District overlay and to allow multifamily high density within the mixed-use overlay districts located within the University Station Rapid Transit District overlay. 2. Include additional properties, 6100 Caballero Boulevard within the University Station Rapid Transit District overlay on the mixed-use overlay district map. And 3, amend the future land use map from commercial low-rise intensity to multifamily high density for lots 1 and 2, Block 5, and lots 1 through 3, Block 6, Riviera Waterway Section, Track K. Addition to Riviera Waterway Section and Lot 8, Block 208, Riviera Section 14, from multifamily low density to multifamily high density for lots 3 and 4, Block 5, Riviera Waterway Section, from multifamily duplex density to multifamily low density for Lot 5, Block 5, and the southern portion of Lot 5, Lot 6, Singer subdivision, from commercial low-rise intensity to multifamily medium density for Lot 4, Block 6, Riviera Waterway Section, and from multifamily duplex density to multifamily medium density for Lot 5-A in the northern portion of Lot 5, Lot 6, Singer subdivision, providing for appeal provision, providing for severability clause, and providing for an effective date. Item E4. An ordinance of the City Commission of Coral Gables, Florida, providing for map and text amendments to the City of Coral Gables official zoning code pursuant to Zoning Code Article 14 process, Section 14-212, Zoning Code text and map amendments by 1. Amending Article 2 zoning districts, Section 2-408, University Station Rapid Transit District overlay. 2A, include requirements for multifamily development and provide regulations for modification and development agreements within the district. B, add additional properties, 6100 Caballero Boulevard, to the boundary of the University Station Rapid Transit District overlay. 2, amending Appendix A, site-specific zoning regulations to remove inconsistent site specifics. 3, amending Article 14 process, Section 14-204, transfer of development rights to expand transfer of development rights, TDRs, receiving sites within the University Station Rapid Transit District overlay. And 4, amend the zoning map from mixed-use 1, MX1, to multifamily 4, MF4, for lots 1 and 2, Block 5, and lots 1 through 3, Block 6, Riviera Waterway Section, Track K, addition to Riviera Waterway Section, and Lot 8, Block 208, Riviera Section 14, from multifamily 3, MF3, to multifamily 4, MF4, for lots 3 and 4, Block 5, Riviera Waterway Section, from multifamily 1, MF1, to multifamily 3, subdivision from mixed-use 1, MX1, to multifamily 2, MF2, for lots 4, Block 6, Riviera Waterway Section, and from multifamily 1, MF1, to multifamily 2, MF2, for Lot 5-A and the northern portion of Lot 5, Lot 6, Singer subdivision, providing for repealer provisions, severability clause, codification, and providing for an effective date. Items E3 and E4, public hearing. I think in 10 years that I've been with this board, I think those are the longest titles I've ever read. So we have a record.
Good job. So I have a PowerPoint. Thank you. So here we are amending the just approved University Station Rapid Transit Overlay District. So as you know, what was adopted last month was the University Rapid Transit Overlay District, which was north of Caballero and south of Turin, I believe. This is proposed to amend that and to add on what's known as the Gables Waterway property to cross across the Mahi Canal over into South Alhambra. This is a quarter of a mile from the University Station and is a view looking north. You can see in the yellow is the property that will be added into the overlay district. So today, the future land use map, as we just heard, is comprised of many different land uses, including commercial low-rise intensity, multifamily low density, and multifamily duplex. And the zoning is MX1, MF3, and MF1. So there are 4 requests. Two first requests are dealing with the comprehensive plan, and the last 2 requests deal with the zoning map and zoning code. The first request is to change the future land use map, to amend it to change land uses to be multifamily high density, multifamily low density, and to amend the mixed use overlay district map to include this as part of the University Station Rapid Transit District overlay. The comprehensive plan is proposed to be amended for the multifamily medium density and multifamily high density to be a maximum of 125 units per acre, again, to mimic the county's maximum density for the RTZ. As we all know, this is an attempt to provide options for the property owner to stay within the city and not go to the county. So a lot of what we're seeing today is similar, substantial conformance with the RTZ of the county. So the zoning is proposed to change to MF4, MF3, and MF2. And the zoning code text amendments involve many new standards related just to multifamily development, limiting the height to 120 or 150 with the 10% additional open space, which is consistent with what was adopted for the mixed use standards. The density would be the same at 125 units an acre for the MF4 and MF2 properties. A 10-foot setback on the waterway for all buildings, both multifamily and mixed use. An upper story step back along the waterway across from single family of 25 feet. 50-foot setback when you're abutting single family with, of course, landscape there. And then some minor changes involving architectural changes, landscape and design to be consistent with the site plan approval process. Development agreement would be reviewed by city staff and then to commission as part of the expedited review process as allowed with this overlay, and then some various clarifications. The University Station as proposed today would be designated all entirely as a TDR receiving area. I'll get to that in a second. And then some removal of inconsistent site-specifics requirements is also part of this text amendment, the zoning code. So to compare, we have the RTZ of the county on the left column. The middle column is the overlay mixed-use zoning that you should be familiar with. And then on the right side is what's proposed as far as the multifamily zoning, all within the overlay district. So it would be the same expedited review of city staff and city commission, similar heights of 120 as a maximum height with no additional med bonus, just the 150 if they provide an extra 10% of additional open space. The density would be matched at 125 units an acre. FAR would be capped at 3.5 FAR with the option to receive TDRs for maximum 4.375 FAR. The open space would remain the same at 25% of the lot area would have to be open space. And then the setbacks would be 10 feet, remain the same as any other multifamily on the front and on the waterway side as well, with the 50-foot landscape requirement of a setback when you're abutting single family and duplex. And then additional step back for waterways, if you're abutting the waterway, if you're across the waterway from single family or duplex. And the uses for multifamily would just be residential. It wouldn't include any commercial uses. The design would remain the same as Mediterranean style would be required. And as we know, the county would, if the project went to a county, the city would not see those impact fees, those building permit fees, ARPA places, payments. So that would be a difference with the overlay mixed-use zoning and the overlay multifamily zoning compared to the county on the left. So this is kind of showing what we're trying to avoid, which on the left side is the existing RTZ project that's in Douglas Station. I believe it's called the Cascade. Not a lot of windows, kind of a harsh public realm. And on the right side is Coral Gables, more landscape, bump outs, windows and doors facing the streets, more carved buildings. So this is the first hearing for this expansion of the RTs of the Rapid Transit Overlay District. So it has to go, of course, the first reading and a second reading with the City Commission. There was notice sent out within 1,500 feet of the entire overlay district. Staff has reviewed this, and we believe it to be consistent with the comp plan as far as encouraging development near Metro Rail and near transit corridors. And we recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you go back 2 slides? You went
Yes.
over one real fast. What
This
is
one?
that? I'm sorry.
This is a map that's showing the radius of the mailing. So all the properties that are.
The notice
Okay,
requirement.
okay,
No,
okay,
it's-
sorry.
Sorry.
The shadow, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Joe, let's open up the public comment. Anyone in the chamber?
No one in chamber, but we do have someone on Zoom. One more.
Perfect.
Roberta, can you please open your camera?
I'm trying to. It says I cannot open it because it's disabled by host. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you try again, ma'am?
Okay. Okay, now, okay, you can see me and probably my kitty cat who just walks right by the screen. Good evening. I'm Roberta Niway. I live at 1236 South Alhambra Circle.
Does she need to be sworn in?
Roberta, can you wait a moment, please? Can you wait? You'll be
No.
sworn in.
She needs to be
Okay.
sworn in?
Yes, she should be sworn in. Hold on.
Ma'am, will you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Roberta Niway, 1236 South Alhambra Circle, 33146. I live less than 2 blocks from the proposed overlay, and I walk mostly. I bike, I drive by the South Alhambra side on an almost daily basis, usually sometimes more than once a day. And to me, this overlay is the best way to ensure that development harmonizes with the established neighborhood, and also to ensure that impact fees are used in such a way that we, the residents, benefit from the development in some way. Please vote yes on these 2 items, and thank you for your time. That's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just sent a message confirming there's no one else wishing to speak. No, no one's raised their hand or sent a
And
message.
no one on the phone line?
No.
Let's close public comment, and let's open up the board discussion. Mr. Pardo, can I go with you again?
Sure.
Thank you.
So if you could go back to the exhibit that shows the overlay distance. How is the overlay distance related to the metro station itself? Did you take the radius from the doors that open or from the furthest point?
Sure. So in GIS, there's a point for each property. So took that point. and
No.
A quarter mile for that point.
If you could look at your exhibit, the one that has the distance, the radius distance from the station itself.
This one.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so that red point there, are those the doors going into the station? Or is that the furthest southwest corner or edge of that station?
So that's the center that GIS gives you as far as the center of the building.
Okay, so that is basically where the
Right.
doors are to go into the station.
Sure. I mean, it's a
Is
GIS
that a yes
thing.
or?
So if you zoom into the building, I mean, the doors going in, there's not really doors. There's the openings that
The
you
entrance,
walk through.
the
right,
entrance to the
which on the
building.
north side of the building.
Right. So the question then goes that I see it just make it to the waterway.
To the south side, yeah, to that corner.
Correct. So I need to understand the waterway that's shown dashed in the packet that we have. That would be, I guess, maybe the next exhibit on your slides? Your PowerPoint?
Yeah.
One more? Okay, so when you look at this, after where it says mixed use, if you look at the future land use map, right, and you look at the dashed line, the radius just touches the Mahi waterway, correct?
Well, on the south side of that, where it abuts US 1, yes.
Right. So my question is, looking at this from a future land use and zoning map, adopting, I guess this is a compromise with the county?
Right.
Okay, so can you walk us through the compromise on that particular section that abuts the single-family residential going down the waterway?
So as you know, the county adopted the subzone. The subzone includes a 30-foot setback when you're within 100 feet of single family.
The 50 foot,
We're proposing 50 feet, yes. The county has 30 feet in their
30
subzone.
feet, and we're,
right.
you know, an
Proposing
additional
50
20 feet. In
Yeah,
other
'cause
words,
50 feet are
the-
standard
the
lot
width of
width.
a traditional single lot.
Exactly, yes.
Right. So my question is, you know, what are the people that are immediately south on the Mahi waterway going to be looking at from the closest single-family home? A 50-foot buffer area, correct?
The buffer will be abutting their property.
Correct. For 50 feet.
Right.
And then after 50 feet, what do they see, or what can they see based on the land use map? In other words, height-wise.
As far as height-wise, that would be the proposed.
Sure.
So that would be what's determined today is be the 120 feet.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
120 feet.
So they have 50 feet of landscaping and then 120 feet up.
On the Caballero side, on the South Alhambra side, it'd be 77 or 97 feet.
Okay. Is there any
That would
way
be-
you don't
that
have
would
a
be
laser
medium
pointer,
density.
right? You can't.
That would be medium density.
Okay, thank you. Show us the Alhambra side?
So this is Alhambra side on here, right?
That's 97 feet.
This light blue is your medium density.
That's the buffer area.
So the buffer area would be the low density, right here.
Um, That little, tiny little strip there, that's 50 feet at this scale, okay? And then the lighter brown or tan or whatever, 97 feet, okay? So, and then after that,
Darker brown would be 120.
how many feet?
120.
120 feet.
Yes.
And then it's the reverse. You have a buffer area there, which is a little bit larger than the 50 foot.
Correct.
That's on the South Alhambra side.
This is Caballero. Yeah, South Alhambra, again, it's just that the 50 feet
Right.
of the low density,
Right.
and then the medium density here, and then
Okay.
the 120.
And just so I understand, the county, comparing that now with the county, can you walk us through exactly what you did now? So saying, for example, instead of 50 feet, it would be 30 feet, you know, and then the heights, please.
Yeah, so the county would be here, would be 30 feet,
30 feet,
as well as here would be 30 feet.
right?
On that, they don't have a cap, it would just be 150. The
100
highest building within a quarter mile,
would
which
be
is
how-
150.
150
Right.
instead of 97 feet,
Right,
and
and then
then-
120,
and then 120.
right.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I need to take my time to understand this, to make sure we can compare it with the county option versus what the city has negotiated.
Okay.
Okay.
Comments?
So,
I have a small.
so on the
comment.
back,
Let him finish, and then,
so,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So on the backside, going up on the property that Ms. Russo described, okay, there you would also have 50 feet of a buffer, landscape buffer, abutting the back of the residential on the other side, correct?
Along here?
Where it says commercial low-rise,
No, because it's not single family, that's multifamily in the back.
correct, but you would have a 50-foot buffer there.
No,
There's no buffer?
right, it's not a budding single family. It's adjacent to it's not a budding or adjacent single family. This right here
Yeah.
is multifamily low density,
Right, so there's no buffer there.
correct?
Okay. And is there any buffer on the corner there to the right? The furthest most to the
Take that
right?
back. No, I'm sorry, it's just because we haven't changed that. There is a rear setback along Madruga
Can,
of 15 feet, sorry.
okay, can you,
It's not part of what's being changed today, it's already adopted. But yeah,
okay,
So along here,
along there,
on Madruga, for these 3 properties here,
right?
there'd be a 15-foot setback in the rear.
How
on
much?
Madruga, 15 feet, 1-5,
15 feet, and what is the height there?
also 120,
120?
yes.
Okay. And if it was the county, there'd be 0
Correct.
setback there. And what about the height? 150.
Right. I say 120, but they have the ability to provide more open space to be able to have the same at 150. 120 is the first, I guess, base height. If they provide more open space, an extra 10% open space,
10% more open
then they
space,
can have additional 30 feet.
10%.
Yes. Additional, beyond their base requirement. So for multifamily, the base requirement is 25%, they'd have to provide 35% open space.
Okay. Volumetrically, if you were applying the limits of what the city has negotiated versus what the county would allow on the rapid transit use, have you done any calculations as far as what the square footage of this project would be?
Square footage volumetrically or square
Volumetrically,
footage as far
correct.
as the ground floor?
Volumetrically, as far as,
Well, the county has no limits of,
right, are we talking
FAR.
about 300,000 square feet?
I mean, it's hard to say. It's whatever you can fit within 150 feet. They have no FAR cap and they had no parking requirement. So they can fill that 13 stories with square footage.
Okay, so the reason I ask is because you're before us here asking for
Amendment.
right, for an amendment, and then, you know, we're looking at a certain size of project that eventually will be built. So let's say if it's, or whatever, 300,000 square feet, and then if we would use the county's ordinance, then it could be 500,000 square feet. So the reason I ask these questions is because Caballero is a very, very small street, which already has impact from a tremendous amount of development that is there. South Alhambra doesn't have as much of an impact from additional traffic because they're on the, let's say, leeward side, if you will. So my question is, when you look at these changes of the comp plan, do you ever think about the possibility of requesting a wider right-of-way to be able to handle the traffic more? Do you ever consider the installation of traffic signalization to be able to handle the existing issue and then the future issue of that development?
So the comp plan usually only deals with building height. So building height, we do take into account in best case scenario when we're not pinned into the corner like we are right now for this. We do take into account the width of the right of way. As I'm sure you know, historically, George Merrick allowed to have higher heights on those more significant streets because you want to create that nice outdoor room with taller buildings on wider boulevards.
Correct.
So typically we do. This is a unique condition that we're kind of being pinned in a corner.
No,
Yeah.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, right now, there may be an opportunity to be able to widen that right-of-way, to be able to soften the impact of the additional square footage that's going in. I understand that we always say, well, you know, with rapid transit, the rapid transit line is there, and it's going to cure all these traffic issues. We know that it may not necessarily cure all the traffic issues. So I am asking that question because that is part of the consideration of changing the master plan, which is the ceiling of what you're trying to do. So if the ceiling is based on the infrastructure that we provide. And that infrastructure that we provide, one of the components is traffic. And I understand that US 1 is, you know, at a level F. And I get that all day. But my question is, are we doing anything to try to alleviate this situation? Or is it just going to become just worse? So that's a first question. So then the second question is, we already discussed heights, we discussed buffers, and then we discussed the difference between what the county has, for, you know, that has as their part of their arsenal, and what we've been able to negotiate as a city. Were you part of the negotiations?
Yes,
Okay. And the city manager, I would think?
of course, yes.
Was there anyone else from the city? Just the two of you negotiating with them?
And legal.
I'm sorry?
Legal. Our city attorney.
Right, and legal,
Right.
okay. So were there any limitations or restrictions or conditions that are part of this particular plan, right? And specifically to protect the residents that already live around this area. Could you share that with us?
Sure. So, I mean, I think the county would want this to mimic what they are allowing right now, T for T. As we all know, FAR is very important to kind of contain and keep our development in check. So that wasn't as much of a concern with the county. But density, as you can see, was the same. We shared our concern as far as setbacks, especially on US 1, we're requiring a 20-foot setback, and as well as along the frontage for multifamily and then budding single family. That we felt was very important to be able to retain and keep in the city, because it's apart from any county development that wouldn't have those kind of setbacks in those important areas along US 1 with all the traffic and along the frontage for multifamily.
How many units would they be allowed now with the Coral Gables plan, if you will, compared to the county plan? How many?
The same density, 125 units an acre.
The same density?
Right.
Right. So
the same number of units.
So number-wise, what are we talking about? Acres times 125, what are we?
We can check how many acres there is. I can't remember what the acreage is off the top of my head, but we can check that.
You know, are we talking about,
Sure.
you know, 600 units or 500 units? I know there's a difference between the 1 and
Right.
2 and 3 bedroom, right?
Yes, if you look at this, though, as soon as they went to the county, they would incorporate the entire property extent into the subzone of the county, whereas we're proposing to have those reliefs and buffers of the multifamily low density next to duplex and single family. So I think the calculation is actually a bit less for Coral Gables than it is for the county.
And it's also a receiving site for the
For
additional
FAR,
TDRs.
but that wouldn't translate to units.
Only FAR.
Correct.
Right. And the amount of cars that would fit on here would be Again, not necessarily as many required as normally because of the mass transit that is available within the quarter of a mile.
Correct, yes. Where the county has no requirements for residential, we do have some requirements. We are reducing that substantially, but still there's less requirements, of course, with the county with a 0 requirement.
And how much of a commercial component is there from a square footage standpoint?
They had no minimum.
I'm sorry?
They have no minimum with the county. It's just 2 units, two uses.
2 uses?
Right.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is only multifamily.
Both what you're proposing?
What we're proposing today is only multifamily, but if they went to the county, they'd have to provide some kind of commercial use to meet their standards.
So it'd be a very small component. Most of it would be residential.
Right, I assume.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to have some comments too, if you don't mind. I would defer for a while. It's been
I'm
rather
sorry,
elongated.
I was trying to be as thorough as possible. I would
Yes,
think that
you have
many
been.
of the questions that
answering
you
a
might
lot of
have.
my
so
Yeah, I think you're asking all
I
the right questions.
apologize for that. I
Thank you
would like
very
to be
much.
able
That's
to come
okay.
back
That's
later
fine.
after.
Mr.
Mrs.
Sanabria,
Sanabria.
please.
Yes. I have a question of the attorney, Craig. When we make a motion, is it going to be separate per E3 and E4? Is it going to be?
Yes, and the voting requirements are different too. So the comprehensive plan item, there needs to be a minimum of 4, I think. And if it's less than 4 in favor, then it's deemed denied, but then it goes on to the board. We had, you recall, maybe some of you were here. Actually, I don't know if any of you were here, but we changed the code. So we wanted to make sure that this board determination, even if it's a tie vote, would be deemed a denial. So it moves on to the city commission with a recommendation of denial, if that should be the case.
My question is
And then
specifically.
the second
if I
item,
may.
the second item would be separately voted. Again, then if it's a tie vote, it goes with, as a zoning item, it goes as no recommendation,
Okay.
or potentially a recommendation of denial if it,
Okay, now, again,
yes.
the question that I posed before you is this. There's 2 items, item E3 and item E4.
Yes.
So my question to you specifically regarding a motion is, can those 2 items be lumped together on a motion to approve, or they have to be separate, each
No,
one?
it has to be a separate motion.
Okay.
Motion on E3 and then a motion on E4.
Okay, now, another thing for staff recommendation and for everybody here to know, as far as disclosure is concerned, I see the property owner consent letters and attachment, but there is no property owner's name. It's the attorney for the property owner. And I would like this to be, in the future, clarified so we know the actual name of the property owner or the company. So to avoid any kind of conflict that we don't know we may have, that's one of the potential issues that could simply be fixed. So please, in the future, when you request a property owner consent letter, have the owner's name in the printed letter, even though the attorney can still send the letter, but he has to identify who the property owner is. Okay? That's it, Mr.
That's
Chairman.
fine, but in this case, I did review the letter. The attorney was well-known to the city.
We know him very well,
represented,
but that-
represented that he was the, represented the owner of the property, but we can certainly ask him to include their name.
We
of
need
the
to
property.
have it, not ask them.
Although,
It's not, sorry, Mr. Collier, I defer with you, and I'm allowed to
Right.
speak as well. I defer with you. We don't need to ask them to put it in. We need to have that name available in case there's a conflict. Could be somebody that some of us may have done business with. So it's very
Oh,
clear
well,
cut
that's a good point.
requirement that from now on, when you have a property owner consent letter, it's fine that the attorney signs it on behalf of the owner, but we need to now have a name of the actual owner and company, et cetera, non-LLC. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Very fair.
Thank you, Chair. I remember my first meeting, this issue came up, and we took our rulers, and we were going, and we were arguing. I think I brought up the question, okay, Anza Caballero, that's it, right? And now, because it touches a little bit on the land on the corner of Caballero, that whole piece is now covered in RTC, or is it that they're going to RTC to add that piece? Because if I recall my first meeting, it ended at Caballero.
It did, right. So this is a proposal to amend the boundary to include that property.
For the county, in the county.
Well, the county right now is talking with the property owner. We're trying to get ahead of that by amending them to our RTZ overlay district.
And when you negotiated with the county, was the property owner a part of those negotiations? So he's on board with these changes?
Yes, he has a consent letter.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Does the Live Local Act also apply to this property? They could do pretty much,
They
you know,
could, for
make
the
a deal with
MX
us?
right, the
or go
MX
Live Local and build a monster, or go with county RTC and build and be worse?
Right, so the property right now is, most of it is zoned MX1, which would allow for Live Local application to apply there. Once they're zoned to be MF4 and MF2, that would no longer today meet the qualifications for a Live Local Act application.
So basically, the decision for the board is take this or else. We're gonna look at the pictures on the left.
Mr. Chair,
I mean, yeah.
one of the things during that first meeting was that the county version, in other words, the county version was there, but it was not disclosed to the board members at that time.
Your first meeting, I'm talking about my first
No,
meeting.
I'm talking about the first meeting on this.
Yeah.
In this case now, I think we all clearly know that we have Live Local at the state level,
Right.
the county component, and then now the city negotiated one. So you're correct, but the difference is that now it's been delineated very carefully, and I had the same issue. That's why I asked, the first question was the radius component, whether if it's just touching. It's not written that way. It's written basically where the 1,500.
Right, but now they're saying that they went back to amend the
Well,
RTC. That changes.
because I think that it's more, in that particular project, it's more going from this city one to Live Local. Is that correct?
I'm not following the.
In other
discussion here.
words, the one on Caballero,
Mhm.
the difference there is that getting that particular property owner on board, where he's barely, right there, is that he could still exercise Live Local.
Sure, of course, yeah.
But Live Local has the double-edged sword that you would have to have affordability as a major component of 40% of the units.
Yes, you have to comply with all those
Could have built
requirements.
much bigger.
But you
to
will
allow
build
for it.
without a doubt, without a doubt.
So basically, it's take this or else.
Mr. Menendez?
So I think we've touched on a lot of concerns here, all very valid. I share all the same concerns that Mr. Pardo, Mr. Sanabria, and Mr. Alvarez. More so on what Mr. Alvarez was saying, and what I was going to talk about was when we were trying to figure out in that meeting how far the RTZ would stretch. I remember that on the other side, on I guess the South Alhambra side of the Mahi Canal, it seemed like it maybe touched a point. I don't know. I don't even know if it got there. But now we're asked to encompass it in our overlay. My concern is, and I know that the developers going to the county and asking for an extension of the RTZ. are there any guardrails to stop these extensions to the RTZs? Like, that's what that's what I'm concerned about, right? Because,
That was my same question.
right, like, we can do this one, and then, across the street, there's, more commercial property, and then we're just gonna keep expanding the overlay until all of US 1 in Coral Gables is RTZ overlay, Coral Gables RTZ overlay. So that's my one big concern. I guess my question is, number one, does the owner of the property on the Caballero side own the property on the South Alhambra side? Is it all one lot? Okay,
Yes, one folio.
right. But half of the folio falls into the RTZ and the other half doesn't. So I guess my question is, if I have 1 square meter in the RTZ and I have 1,000 square meters, does that, like, just because 1 square meter of my property is in the RTZ and it's one folio, now it's, the whole thing is
From my
RTZ?
understanding, they don't require that the entire property be within a quarter mile.
So long as
And for that
a
reason-
piece of it.
Right. And for that reason, that's why they have a range within their CDMP, the county, their comprehensive plan of the county.
Yeah,
They have a range,
which is 50.
which is a little less than a quarter to a little bit more than a quarter mile.
But the difference is, it goes back to live local.
Right.
They would be able to go,
Listen,
live local, forget about the county.
I agree, and I think live local. Look, I live in this area, and
Hard to develop live local.
right. I think it's just given the property values here, it's hard to develop live local because of the affordability. The 40% affordable housing, you can't get the money on the doors. So unless they raise the amount that the developer can charge per doors, so that's the only way that live local really becomes a little bit more attractive to developers here in Coral Gables.
Possibility is there.
But the possibility is there, and I get it. My biggest concern is one dispensation this time, and then it's another time, and then it's another time, and then the RTZ Coral Gables overlay is to 57th Avenue, right? And it all started at Denny's, so to speak. So I guess there's not much we can do now. That's my biggest concern. I know that the residents have come out and some are against and some are for. But again, my biggest concern is just that expanding,
Right,
we do it this time, and then it's a next time, and then it's a next time. On the north,
It becomes multifamily.
it becomes
So it's any
multifamily across-
consolation.
When you get to Granite, I guess there's in front of Ponce, there's Ponce.
You got UPS, you got restaurants.
That's all covered by our overlay,
Right.
correct? That's all covered, and then you get to Ponce, and then you get to single, right. So I'm not so concerned going to the north, but to the south, it's a commercial district, and what are we doing, to safeguard from that? Because, again, I get it, this one seems logical, because it's half of the property's in the overlay, half of it isn't. It's not that big of a dispensation, even though there are single-family homes, like Mr. Pardo was saying, that on the leeward side of South Alhambra, let's call it, that are going to be less affected as opposed to the Caballero side, which is already affected by the other project that's there. So, again, that's my one concern about just this overlay expanding beyond what we approved this year and last year.
Well, a couple things, just to be clear, we're not allowing a property to be taking advantage of the overlay without including their entire property within the overlay district. A quarter mile is just a rule of thumb for walkability, for a 5-minute walk. That's where the quarter mile comes from. And that's probably why in the county CDMP, they have a range, actual in feet and not in a quarter mile. And I think the board probably should expect some expansions of the RTZ in the future, in the next 20-something years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things change. South Miami is growing intensely. We may need to look at that part of Coral Gables to make sure it's not going to be incorporated into something that we can't have control over.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to point out that the county has, from time to time, added property with other RTZs. And the process is a property owner requests a commissioner, and a commissioner sponsors an ordinance, and the ordinance goes to public hearing, and citizens have the right to speak at those hearings and speak either in favor or an objection, and that's the process from the county. So unfortunately, we don't have quite the control that we would like to have. It's really up to the citizens to register their concern.
Yeah, I understand, and I think that was the issue that we ran into last July when the citizens came here, given when this was first proposed, and I think that the miscommunication was that this was the wrong forum, that this was already beyond our control. The developer, it was on the previous project on the Mark, that this was out of our control. And at that point, they were dealing with the county, but yet the residents of Coral Gables expected Coral Gables to do something about it. And at that point, there was kind of a miscommunication, which is why I think the board wanted to adopt this overlay. But yeah, I mean,
I want to make one other comment. The application is actually by the city on this. The letter that we received from the attorney was a concern that I expressed because the department viewed this as actually more of a restriction on that property. And in an abundance of caution, we wanted to make sure that that property owner was consenting to what the city wanted to do. So that's why that letter appeared as for the record, because we didn't want to we wanted to make sure if we were doing this, so we didn't have somebody come out and say, wait a minute, you're taking away zoning rights from us.
Right.
So that's how that letter started in the first place. They're not an applicant. They're not seeking to do this. This is something that the city is doing really to try to protect us somewhat.
Okay.
So I just want to explain what
further-
that original rationale was for that letter, which is a little unusual. You don't typically see that.
Mr. Collar, based on what you just said and based on your experience in zoning over the years, were you part of this negotiating team?
I believe there were other people that were part of the negotiating team that were involved. I will say that this is a great thing. I'm hoping for the city that we provide an alternative and that we make it attractive for the applicant so that we get some kind of control. There's no guarantee, obviously, but I think the city is trying to make it attractive enough for the developer saying, hey, it's a lot easier to have hearings here than at the county. So we have more flexibility as far as the timing and things of that nature. So we're trying to provide something to encourage them come to the city. And of course, with regard to neighbors, I think they're better off having all the elected representatives actually be within their area, whereas, as you know, before the county commission, there's only one commissioner that represents that district.
Right.
Whereas in the city, all the commissioners are.
I have one follow-up, sorry. I have one follow-up on as far as like if there's a gap between a property in the RTZ, let's say, again, the side of the lot is on Caballero is in the RTZ and the other side isn't, right? Once you're outside of the RTZ, you're outside of the RTZ. Is that fair to say?
For the county's subzone, from my understanding, talking with the county.
Yes, with the
if
county.
half
Like,
it's in the RTZ radius, that they'll incorporate the entire property even though it's straddling the quarter mile.
I beg to differ for one reason, right? And that is that, for example, there's spacing restrictions that exist in the county. Self-storage buildings, let's say 1,500 feet. But it says to the building, specifically to the building, not if you have to touch the property. It's a very defined separation between those points. But still, I don't think that's what the argument tonight is about. This is a game of chicken. And this is a game of chicken of what do you want it to be? And right now, the 800-pound gorilla on the other property is not the rapid transit component of it. It's the Live Local Act. Now, there are negatives to the Live Local Act. And that is that there's a perception that if you're trying to build apartments that are very exclusive, et cetera, well, 40% of them have to have a certain thing. So they can, that investor will have to take it on the chin for 30 years. And then after 30 years, then they can market it any way they want. So not only do you have to meet the revenue amounts or the limitation of that rent, but when you're in areas such as Coral Gables, it's extremely high, but it's still very hard to justify compared to, you know, higher end type of things. So that's the negative. The key question here is this the best deal we can get basically for that? I don't think
I thought the 800-pound gorilla you were referencing was the county.
right.
Correct. Because I think at the end of the day, you know, what you're looking at is to try to mitigate the impact on the residential areas. I think that ship has sailed in many respects as far as traffic and congestion and that type of thing. None of them are positive.
So there's no planned development right now. This is just to get ahead of it. Did I understand you
Yeah,
correctly?
being proactive, I think, at this point.
So when there is a development, they'll
They have an option to come with the city instead of go to the county.
And
we don't have to go through this whole thing again.
again, the positive is what you're trying to do is say, okay, you could go live local and build this, but you're going to be building 40% for a lower thing. So there is an incentive
And
there.
the same thing, or you can come with us, deal with us instead of having to deal with the county. Yep.
I have one question, I guess, and how many Live Local buildings are in Coral Gables? Do you
0,
know?
I think.
How many
Live Local.
Live Local?
How many buildings have been?
It's 0.
Jennifer, I don't think there's been
0.
a Live Local application within the city of Coral Gables yet. Have you seen
Ever since
one?
Live Local was
Oh, there's one on H
There's
Street, correct,
one.
yep.
There is one
Yeah,
on
there's
8th
one on
Street,
8th Street.
right? Yeah.
8th Street and,
In Ponce.
In Galeano.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, between Ponce and Galeano.
okay, and that's the only one?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
thank you. One thing that we are haven't mentioned yet, even though we have mentioned a lot of very valuable information, is that we have jurisdiction over the Mahi Canal. That's a city's purview. Would you confirm that, Jennifer?
Yes, we do.
Okay. That's an important factor in the influencing of this development. For everybody to know, that is a little bit of a leverage on this. Now, darn if you do, darn if you don't. If we don't do anything and let the county RTC take over, which it can and they will, because I have worked, like I said before, disclosed, on 3 other RTC properties outside of the city of Coral Gables. Even now, as I speak to you, I'm still working the final details on one. And I can tell you, the county likes to have total control of these developments, total control. They don't want to give anything away to any city. So we're lucky that we are at the stage to what we have in hand. It may not be a perfect baby, but it's our baby in the sense that we have some jurisdiction on the Mahi Canal, and we should approve this so we can go forward. If we don't do anything and complain about density, complain about traffic, complain about this, complain about that, we're going to be powerless to do anything because the county overrules our situation because of the RTC 1,500 feet diameter. So I like to move forward with this as being a viable option, an alternative, even though it's not to everybody's best taste, but it's the best that we can do. So when you're ready,
Any
Mr.
more
Chairman, I'd like to
board
make a
discussion?
motion.
I have another point. The site plan approval process. Jennifer, how much influence can there be on the site plan approval process, specifically to create more of a buffer at site plan approval and making sure that, you know, the certain components of the site plan will try to mitigate the negative impact from the building itself or the buildings themselves?
So the site plan approval is going to be a public hearing. Unlike the county doesn't require public hearing for the site plan approvals for these kinds of projects. But this will go to straight to the commission, from staff to the commission as a public hearing with mail notice for the neighbors, be able to come in and weigh in on their concerns and their opinions, be able to heard by the commission.
So that goes back to what Mr. Sanabria was saying as far as being able to,
That's in purview.
exactly, which includes all sorts of things, including
Yes,
the
sir.
Mahi
Yes, sir.
Canal.
That's correct.
Chair, can we have a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
But
Do we need?
Can we just make a motion now, please?
I'll move to approve.
I move to approve.
Okay,
I move to approve.
let's,
I move to approve.
No, I moved it before you moved.
I think
You can
Mr. Alvarez
co-move
moves
it
to
with
approve.
me, and that's fine.
Only these two items.
On E3,
Can I
it's
just
gotta be
sort of-
done one at a time, correct?
right, we need a motion to approve on E3 in accordance with the department recommendations.
I so
We
move.
make co-motion to approve, stop
co-move.
jumping the gun, okay, Nestor? Let's all do the proper
So we have
thing here.
a
Thank
motion
you.
and a second.
Thank you. No, he can
A
co-motion.
co-motion. We need a second.
All right,
Mr. Alvarez seconds.
on E3, as per the city's
If you
recommendation.
go roll.
Discussion,
Discussion, yes. go.
discussion. I asked about the amount of units.
Yes, I have that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So with the county's RTZ, they would apply the same regulation for the entire property, which is 4.8 acres. At 125 units an acre would be 600 units. The whole property had the same zoning regulations.
That's
So-
including the projects that have already been developed?
No, that's just for the amendment that we're doing today,
Okay,
right? Along Caballero
600.
and Salahambra.
600.
With the city's kind of tier effect of the higher intensity and density being towards US 1 and then transitioning down as you go south, next to single family and duplex, would total up to be 537 more or less units per acre. Sorry, units total. Units total.
I got a little confused.
Yes.
6 what?
600 units with the RTZ
Right.
and then 537 units with the city because of the change in the density as it tiers down.
Okay. So you're looking at about a 15% reduction in units.
Any other comments?
We have a motion.
Call roll, please.
For E1, we have a motion made by Mr. Sanabria, second by Mr. Menendez, is that correct?
No, Mr. Alvarez.
Mr. Alvarez, sorry. Okay, Ignacio Alvarez,
Yes.
Alex Buscello,
Yes.
Nestor Menendez,
Yes.
Felix Pardo,
Yes.
Gonzalo Sanabria.
Yes.
Now we got E4.
Correct. Do we have a motion on E4?
It was 5.
I mean, E5, I apologize. Is it 4 or 5?
4.
5.
Seconded.
Oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake. I said E3, it was E4 that motion
Yeah.
was, right?
Yes.
Should we have
So
another
no, I think we just,
Well, look what it
administrative?
says there.
It's really,
E3 and
uh,
E4 are the
Correct.
ones that we're voting on.
Wait a minute.
E5 is another one that's unrelated
right,
to
you're
this.
right, E3, E4.
I'm right. Oh,
Apologies.
I'm right.
We voted on E3.
We voted on E3, that was
So we have a
correct.
motion on
This
E4.
is E4.
We have a,
I second the motion.
My confusion, sorry.
I'm sorry, who made the motion for E4?
Alvarez made the motion and Menendez second. Any final comments? Joe, call roll, please.
Nestor Menendez,
Yes.
Felix Pardo,
Yes.
Gonzalo Sanabria,
Yes.
Ignacio Alvarez. Alex Pusello.
Yes.
Done in accordance with department recommendations, correct? On that item?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, whenever you're ready.
I think we have a,
If we have a discussion item, when that comes up, let me know.
I think all we have is discussion items.
You have a discussion item?
So there's no discussion items.
Mr. Chairman, on discussion item, I like the board staff and the attorney to clarify and specify when is the next board election for chair and vice chair. At the next meeting, I'd like to have that information clarified for all our sakes of information.
I think we also have a board member that needs to use the restroom, so either we adjourn or we
I motion adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I tried, Mr. Pardo.
I'm trying to help him out.